After it was revealed last week on WWE Friday Night SmackDown that Kevin Owens is injured and is required to undergo neck surgery with no update as to when he will return to the ring, Randy Orton is left without an opponent for WrestleMania after their scheduled match has been called off. This leads to the question, just who is the Viper going to face off against with just days to go until WrestleMania 41? We'll count down some names that Orton could face off against at the grandest stage of them all in this countdown video. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into. And before we get into today's countdown video, a reminder, you can join the WN365 roster. All you have to do is click the join button, links in the video description below. You can also scan the QR code once it appears on the sidebar. Speaking of which, you can see right there all of the upcoming watch-alongs that we've got here on the channel, whether it be for SmackDown and Raw episodes before and after WrestleMania, NXT Stand and Deliver, as well as both nights of WrestleMania, that being WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday. All of the details are in the sidebar. Before you get there, you can also subscribe to the channel right there. We are well over 20,600 subscribers. Be sure to subscribe and expand the Wrestle News universe. Right, let's get into today's countdown video and talk about Randy Orton opponents for WrestleMania. Now, as I mentioned in the intro for this one, last Friday night on SmackDown, at the time of recording this video, it was revealed that Kevin Owens is suffering with an injury. There had been rumors throughout the day, for the days prior as well, that Owens was down with some kind of mysterious injury. It was later revealed on SmackDown that he has a neck injury, with it being suggested he has to undergo surgery, and there's no real update or timeline as to when we're going to see the former Universal Champion back in the professional wrestling ring for WWE. Now, at one point, there was a match already set before Kevin Owens at WrestleMania against Randy Orton. Of course, their feud has been going on for several months, going all the way back to when Kevin Owens hit the pile driver on Randy Orton, took him out of action for a few months. Randy Orton made his return as Kevin Owens was attacking Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber on March 1st. But now Orton is without an opponent, and at the time of recording this video, there's not long to go until WrestleMania. There's just 9 days to go until WrestleMania Night 1, 10 days to go until WrestleMania Night 2. So whoever Orton is going to face off against, they've got to do something fairly quick, and a lot of people are already factored into plans, factored into matches already set for the show, but you can't have WrestleMania without Randy Orton, can you? Considering he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's one of the biggest, most popular names on the roster. It's leaving WWE to scramble as to who he could face off against with not long to go until the event itself. So let's get into just who could possibly face off against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and begin with Sami Zayn. Now, this one might surprise you because you'll say, well, Sami Zayn, first of all, we haven't seen him since Elimination Chamber, but who is he facing off against at Elimination Chamber? It was against Kevin Owens. Of course, Kevin Owens defeated his former best friend, I guess still best friend, former tag team partner, probably future tag team partner, enemy, friend, frenemy, whatever you want to call it. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to fight and team with each other until they both decide to retire. We've seen multiple matches. We've seen matches between them at WrestleMania. We've seen them tag in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 at WrestleMania 39. So this just feels like the latest speed bump in their rocky relationship on screen. Certainly off screen, they're the best of friends and longtime friends off of the screen. But it's led many people to suggest, well, maybe could there be some kind of swerve here? Because some people were kind of predicting that maybe we could have seen Sami Zayn return at WrestleMania and actually get involved in the Randy Orton-Kevin Owens match, maybe even costing Randy Orton the match and once again aligning with Kevin Owens, this time as a heel tag team. We have seen them be a heel tag team up at WrestleMania as a heel tag team. As I mentioned, there's just a constant history between them, not only in WWE, but in Ring of Honor, the Indies, going all the way back to the early pro wrestling days. But we could have seen a situation where Sami Zayn comes back and he realizes that Kevin Owens was right about all of the things that he was saying and right about all of the things that he was doing, and he was going to back his best friend, and they were going to be tag team partners once again, maybe compete in the tag team division on SmackDown, or just, compete as a tag team moving forward in WWE. But, of course, Kevin Owens is now injured. Sami Zayn, he's been off TV, as I mentioned, since Elimination Chamber. There were reports suggesting that he had requested time off and wanted time off. As far as we're aware, he's not dealing with an injury, so potentially, if WWE really needed, he could come back immediately and get straight back into the fold. He was involved in a major matchup at last year's WrestleMania. He was the one to dethrone Gunther, defeat him for the Intercontinental Championship, ending Gunther's record-breaking reign at 666 days as WWE Intercontinental Champion. So to go from that, a real highs high of defeating Gunther for the Intercontinental title last year, to go to no match, not even be involved at WrestleMania, would be a bit of a surprising one. It looks like that was initially the plan, considering, again, we just haven't seen him on TV. He could have returned at the event like I'm speculating about here. But given that Owens is out, it's kind of poetic, isn't it, in a sense, that Sami Zayn could be the person to step in. Now, how they would do this in terms of storyline, they could just do what they were going to do anyway and suggest that when Kevin Owens dropped Sami Zayn on his head, he actually dropped a load of sense into him. He dropped it on his head, and that was exactly what he needed to wake up and realize that Kevin Owens was right, and what he's going to do is effectively, I guess, carry the torch for Kevin Owens and do what Owens couldn't do at WrestleMania, and that's take out Randy Orton once and for good. Maybe that's the suggestion that they go in, maybe not, but it certainly would be a poetic choice to say the least. If not Sami Zayn, then what about Aleister Black? We know that Aleister Black is on his way back to WWE. We have seen now multiple vignettes air on Friday Night SmackDown suggesting he's not actually been mentioned by name, referenced by name. We haven't seen his face or anything like that, but we know that Aleister Black is on his way back to WWE, and those vignettes, they feel very Aleister Blackish, don't we? And it would be a shock if it was anyone but the former WWE NXT champion. Of course, Black's been a free agent ever since his contract expired with AEW earlier this year, and he's been linked with a move back to WWE for the longest time, even going as far back as when he was actually still under contract to AEW, when Triple H took over creative control of the company way back in 2022. Ever since then, because of Aleister Black's links to Triple H, links to Paul Heyman, it's been a case of just not if, but when Black returns to World Wrestling Entertainment. After his contract expired with AEW earlier this year, and it was announced or reported that he was no longer under contract to All Elite Wrestling, was a free agent, everyone knew he was just going to go back to WWE, and very quickly the vignette started to air on SmackDown. Of course, that's the same brand that his wife Zelina Vega is on, so he's going to be a member of the SmackDown brand. Now, there had been quite a few reports suggesting that Aleister Black, unlike Rey Fenix, who debuted before WrestleMania, because Phoenix and Black's vignette started airing at the same time on SmackDown, Phoenix was going to make his debut before WrestleMania, and Black was going to make his WWE return after WrestleMania. But of course, plans change, as we can see with this match of Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Plans can change, and because of that, there is a vacuum, there is a spot. And again, maybe there was a situation where we need an opponent, let's rush up some plans that we had. And one of those plans would have been for Aleister Black to debut on, or return rather, on SmackDown. Randy Orton's on SmackDown. Aleister Black's already under contract, it would appear. It'd be very stunning to find out that Aleister Black wasn't under WWE contract, considering they're already airing vignettes of him on television. So that would suggest not only is he under contract, but he's had his medical test done as well. And what a prominent spot for the former NXT star to return to WWE. It had been reported that WWE see him as a big main event level talent. Malachi Black, Aleister Black, whatever you want to call him, got his biggest push in WWE on the black and gold brand era of NXT when Triple H was booking that brand. He was an NXT champion. In addition to that, on the main roster, he really got his best push during Paul Heyman's time as executive director of WWE Monday Night Raw. It was really others within the company, i.e. Vince McMahon and some of his minions, that weren't the biggest fans of Aleister Black, and of course that led to Black being released and eventually going to AEW, forming the House of Black, which has led us all the way back to him returning to WWE now. It would be a massive spot for him to come into, but if they truly do view him as a main event level talent, then what a spot to return to WWE in a match against a future Hall of Famer, one of the biggest stars in WWE in Randy Orton. You would think returning, you have to win your opening match, so that might be a bit of an issue with whether they want him return to lose to Orton, or would Orton have no problem doing the favors, considering it's WrestleMania and he has the opportunity to make someone in Aleister Black. Certainly is a possibility, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, speaking of people that could be returning to WWE, if not Aleister Black, then what about Rusev? Rusev has been a name that many people have been talking about the last few weeks, because it had been reported that the former Miro, the former AEW TNT champion, the former United States champion as Rusev in WWE, had been spotted at WWE headquarters, and he'd actually put pen to paper on a brand new WWE contract to return to the company just months after or weeks after he was released from his AEW deal. Of course, Miro, Rusev, left WWE in 2020. He signed with AEW during that period of time, signed a one-year contract, had great success in AEW as the TNT champion during his Redeemer character, and then really after that, once he dropped the championship, we just never really got back on track again, did he? A couple of injuries, and then turning down creative plans, having issues with creative, stop-start appearances on AEW television, reports that he wasn't necessarily happy with the booking of his character, wasn't happy with the pitches that he was getting. He was locked down into a long-term deal when he re-signed with AEW back in, I think it was 2021, 2022. He signed a 5-year contract with the company and was locked in for quite some time. Now, he put in his request to be released last year. Eventually, it was granted earlier this year by Tony Khan. And a bit like with Aleister Black, everyone was just waiting for the news that he was going to be on his way back to WWE because, of course, he's another one that worked with Triple H in NXT. At this point, most people in professional wrestling worked with Triple H at some point in NXT, and he's got big fans in WWE. He was another one that maybe wasn't happy with his booking in WWE from the likes of Vince McMahon, but Vince McMahon's no longer a factor in WWE creative. Triple H is in charge, and Triple H seemingly is a big fan of Rusev. So once again, this could be a situation where the perfect way to reintroduce Rusev would be at the scene of one of his biggest ever WWE moments, that being WrestleMania. Of course, arguably Rusev's biggest WWE match came at WrestleMania 31 back in 2015, where he was undefeated at the time on the WWE main roster. He'd been undefeated for around about a year. He was the WWE United States champion, and he faced off against none other than John Cena. Now, he lost the match. This was part of an overarching feud he had with John Cena. This was at the time where he, along with Lana, were playing sort of sympathizers to Russia and Vladimir Putin and all that kind of stuff because it's a classic Vince McMahon sort of anti-American storyline. But it was a massive opportunity for him. He even arrived at WrestleMania in a tank that year. So maybe once again, that's the perfect place to reintroduce Rusev to the WWE Universe is at WrestleMania. So there are a few names that are expected to return to WWE fairly imminently that are under contract, like Rusev, like Aleister Black, and maybe they had plans to be integrated back onto WWE television later on in the year, but because of this injury to Kevin Owens, plans have changed and plans have been brought forward. So certainly, I wouldn't rule out seeing the Bulgarian Brute back on WWE television just in time for WrestleMania. Now, Nick Aldis. This is one that I think is pretty popular with fans on social media. And you will say, the SmackDown General Manager. Yes, the SmackDown General Manager, Nick Aldis. Now, during the segment last Friday on SmackDown, when Kevin Owens revealed that he had the neck injury and he had to undergo surgery, Randy Orton came out, and to close the segment, what did he do? He hit the RKO on Nick Aldis. Now, that's not the first time he's done that. And Randy Orton returned to WWE right after Survivor Series in 2023 and signed with SmackDown during that time. What did he do? He hit the RKO on Nick Aldis. Now, the following week, he was issued a $50,000 fine. He gave him, I think it was $100,000, and he said, this isn't 50, it's 100. And Randy Orton said, that's for next time. Well, the next time was last Friday on SmackDown, so that makes twice that Orton has hit the RKO on the SmackDown General Manager. And I think a lot of pro wrestling fans just want to see Nick Aldis get his big WWE match. When news came out back in 2023, I think it was, that Nick Aldis was coming into WWE, people thought, great, finally, after years of being in TNA wrestling, being a TNA World Heavyweight Champion, being a tag team champion in TNA, then being really the cornerstone of Billy Corgan's National Wrestling Alliance, holding that championship for years, having great matches against the likes of Cody Rhodes and others. People thought, finally, Nick Aldis is going to get a chance in sort of the big leagues of pro wrestling, WWE, the biggest pro wrestling company in the world, and he's going to get a chance to shine. We later found out that he was coming in as a producer and an on-screen role as an authority figure, but not a wrestler. Aldis himself recently has done interviews with the likes of Chris Van Vliet and says he hopes he gets at least one match so he can say that he did it in WWE. If you've never seen Nick Aldis wrestle, I would highly recommend it. All of his matches certainly should still be on the NWA's YouTube channel. And you can go see some of the most amazing matches he had. He's a real top wrestler, really underrated wrestler as well. And that's not me just having British bias. So there's a story there. He's hit the RKO once, he's hit the RKO twice, and I think it would be a bit of a feel-good story to see Nick Aldis finally get that moment. I don't know if it necessarily goes into a full-time run as a wrestler. I don't know if that's what he wants. He did have an injury last year, I believe it was. He tore his bicep, but he said that he'd recovered. He had surgery on that, and I don't think he missed any time on WWE television. So Aldis having a match against Randy Orton, someone that big, at such a big stage like WrestleMania, It would be perfect for someone who's been super consistent on WWE TV. He's done a real good job in a quite outdated role, which is the general manager role. And he's a great wrestler. And he still is at a decent age where he could still work and he could still have a great match. So it would be quite rewarding if indeed they decide to go down that route. And after hitting 2 RKOs, why not? I'd want to get revenge. And finally, this one might be the most curveball out of them all. A match that has a lot of history of Randy Orton is the main event of WrestleMania Night 2, that being Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against John Cena. Of course, we've already seen Randy Orton talk about John Cena's heel turn at Elimination Chamber. The first SmackDown after Elimination Chamber, Randy Orton came out. It was his return to SmackDown after returning at the same PLE, and he had some choice words for John Cena. He had some very choice words for saying rock bottom meant a whole new thing and that he was a bottom rider and all this kind of stuff. So he's got words for Cena. He's one of, if not arguably, John Cena's greatest opponent. Of course, they were 1 and 2 as the top babyface and maybe the top heel and top babyface and second top babyface during the sort of ruthless aggression PG era of WWE. They debuted in the same year. So, of course, at some point you think during this John Cena retirement tour, we're going to see Randy Orton versus John Cena one more time. I think they face each other probably more than anyone throughout each other's careers in WWE. They face each other for the WWE Championship, drop the WWE Championship to each other a million times. So certainly, again, that's a match we need to see happen. And of course, when it comes to Cody Rhodes, ever since Cody Rhodes has come back to WWE in 2022, people have been waiting for when we're going to get the Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton feud. Everyone's expecting at some point Randy Orton to turn on his protege. Of course, they were together in Legacy. They had a segment on SmackDown just a few weeks ago where Randy Orton was putting over Cody Rhodes really strong, saying how proud he was of him, how he's carried the company, the reason for WWE's boom and the success and all this kind of stuff is because of Cody Rhodes and Cody Rhodes returning to the WWE. It's all been because of Cody and he's so proud of Cody, and there have been multiple times, a little bit of a glance, a little bit of a look where Randy Orton's been eyeing up the undisputed WWE Championship or maybe holding the WWE Championship. So if they wanted to slot him in, they could slot him into that. It feels very unlikely. You know, it's a big set WrestleMania main event. Rhodes versus Cena is a big one, and maybe despite some of the criticisms and maybe the build to this one, it's still a big match. But certainly if anyone could be slid into that, it would be Randy Orton. He's got history of both, and if they really wanted to protect Cody Rhodes and have him not take the pinfall and get the title on Cena, then to have him do that and pin Randy Orton, that would certainly be a unique way to do it. And of course, Randy Orton, he's only a couple of reigns behind John Cena as WWE champion. What is he, 2 behind at this point? I think it's 2 behind. So he's not even a million miles off anyway. So they can add in that jeopardy too, suggesting that, well, you're talking about Ric Flair's record. Ric Flair, I was in Evolution with Ric Flair. Ric Flair was one of my mentors. I'm going to stop you from breaking his record. And in the process, I'm going to be tying up with you. I'm going to get close to 16, and I'm going to eventually break the record first. Ric Flair wants me to break the record. So there's certainly different ways they could introduce him there. As I said, I think it's unlikely considering how much equity and how much time has been put into the match between Cena and Rhodes specifically, and triple threat matches to main event WrestleMania. It's been done before. It's not the most popular choice either. But if they were really scrabbling, they could put Randy Orton in there, and it would kind of make sense from a storyline perspective, I guess. So there you go. There are 5 names that could be potential opponents for Randy Orton at WrestleMania now that Kevin Owens is out injured. What are your thoughts on some of the names selected there? Is there anyone that I've missed? Which ones are more likely than the others? Which ones do you agree with, disagree with? Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your hot takes in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. As I mentioned, let's see if we can get closer to 21,000. WrestleMania, as I said, is just 9 days away. We're going to be doing a lot of live streams, a lot of watch-alongs, whether it's SmackDown before WrestleMania, Raw after WrestleMania, both nights of WrestleMania, NXT Stand and Deliver, Raw before WrestleMania. We're going to be covering all. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell. You'll be notified when daily news videos go up, as well as countdown videos like this and possible watch-alongs too. So be sure to smash the like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.